In this video, we are going to discuss the technique of one-way ANOVA. One-way ANOVA stands for analysis of variance. We are going to analyze the variances of known and unknown sources. And by the ratio of these two, we will get the F statistics. Before going to introduce the ANOVA, I want to compare the different techniques for hypothesis testing of mean. Hypothesis testing, if we are interested in hypothesis testing of one mean, the H naught will be mu is equal to mu naught. Mu naught is any number which is described or the researcher have interested to compare the mean with that number. So mu is equal to mu naught can be tested by Z or T test. If we are interested to compare the two means, H naught is mean 1, mean of the population 1 is same as the mean of the population 2. Then we can still use Z or T test. Z or T test, it has the two purposes. One of them is there are several other uses of Z and T test in correlation and regression, but I will summarize that in the whenever I will discuss and record the lecture of correlation and regression. If we have multiple groups, like we want to compare the hypothesis in which we have a several means, mean 1, mean 2, and so on. Suppose we have a k different population and we want to compare the mean of these k populations. The mean of these k population can be compared by F test or the F statistics. So we have Z and T statistics. Earlier in chapter number 9, we were discussing Z and T for one mean. In chapter number 10, our discussion was about comparison of two mean by Z and T test. And here we are going to describe the comparison of multiple means. I am just giving one scenario. If we want to compare that the average salary in a company is 50,000, then the hypothesis will be this. Mean average salary in a company is 50,000. So H naught will be mu is equal to 50,000. If we want to compare in the same company, the average salary of male and female are same or not, so we have to bifurcate the data with respect to the gender, and then we can compare the average effect of mean with respect to gender. The average salary by male is exactly equal to the average salary by female. If we have different groups in the company, like people working in the finance department, HR department, and computer department, IT department. Do you want to compare whether the average salary in all departments of a company are same or not? So this is the uh, situation where we have to apply one-way ANOVA. ANOVA stands for analysis of variance. So we are going to compare the multiple means by analyzing the variance. This is the actual purpose. So if we want to compare the multiple means, then that multiple means can directly be tested by F test. We can also use two mean t test here. Suppose I want to compare mean 1 with mean 2, mean 1 with mean 3, mean 1 with mean k, and I have to make a k combination 2 number of hypotheses to be tested if I want to test this hypothesis by two mean test. The two mean test will be quite lengthy, and we'll have other issues too. You can test these multiple means by several two mean t-test, but it has a uh, several issues. One of them is a very lengthy procedure. We have to implement the procedure key combination 2 times. Other is the issue of degree of freedom. We have a degree of freedom issues in that case. So instead, we have to test multiple means by t-test. We are going to analyze the multiple mean by f-test. This is the technique. For one-way ANOVA, we need one known source and one unknown source. So I will describe what is the known source, what is the unknown source. That is basically the two sources in which we have to construct, by which we have to construct F statistics. So we have a very simple formula of F statistics: variance of known source divided by variance of unknown source. This is a simple formula for F statistics. The unknown source and known source, these are the two variations. I will describe by example what is known source, what is unknown source. To complete one situation, we need one quantitative variable, which is a scaled variable. And I need one nominal or a factor variable with 2 or more levels. Like we have in the example I was giving, comparing them average salary in the multiple departments. The salary is a dependent variable. Salary is a dependent variable which is quantitative in nature, and departments is a factor variable, and it has a multiple levels. Department has multiple levels. What that levels are: marketing department, HR department, or we may have a IT department, and several more, and several more. And our interest is to compare the average salary in marketing department is same as average salary in HR department and average salary in IT department. If we have more departments in the company, so that can also be extended for the further departments. So this is the null hypothesis, and the alternate hypothesis will be at least two means are unequal. H1 will be what? At least two departments have an unequal average salary. So the word at least two will be used. At least two departments have unequal average salary. Unequal average salary. So this is basically the objective of implementing the ANOVA, and we have to consider the assumptions of ANOVA and actual technique of ANOVA on the next slide. Here I am introducing the concept of implementing the F-test. For F-test, I am giving a one scenario. The scenario is a variety of wheat. Variety of wheat. We have a suppose three variety of wheats, A, B, C. Varieties. Varieties A, B, C. These are already available varieties. A researcher in the agriculture side developed a new variety which is named as D, and his claim is the variety D is have a significant effect as compared to the C, B, and A, and it will give us a very good crop if we are planting by using the variety D. The null hypothesis will be what? Null hypothesis will be H naught, average output by the crop if we plant the by variety A, average output by crop B, and the average output of crop C, and average output of crop D. This is the null hypothesis. And how we have to collect the data for this experimentation. So we have 4 columns. Column A, B, C, D. Suppose sample size of 10 is selected. 10 seeds of variety A are randomly chosen and planted. Their outputs are these. 10 seeds of variety B are planted and their outputs are these. Similarly, these are the outputs of 3 varieties. Now the researcher is planted his crop and the outputs are these. So these are the outputs by growing these 4 crops. The conditions remain same. The plants are the plants are seeded on the similar soil. The fertility of the soil will be same for all the 40 plantations. The fertilizer use, the water supply, and all the constraints remain same. It means there is only one change, and that change is due to the different seeds of the varieties. These are the effect by variety A. So it may vary. If variety D is really very good, so it will give us a better output as compared to the other 3 varieties. There is a possibility that the variety D will not be good, and we may have a variety C as a good output. So we cannot say anything right now, but assumption in the null hypothesis is what? All the 4 varieties are having equal average output. This is the null hypothesis. With the alternate hypothesis that at least one variety, at least 2 varieties having unequal average output. Now I want to explain the known source and unknown source. There is a one known source. What that known source is? Known source is between variety. The output may be changed due to the varieties. So I will use the term between varieties. So between varieties, there may be variation because between varieties we may have a variation because we have a known source. There may be a chance that if really variety D, which is newly discovered, is a better variety, then its output will be significantly high as compared to the other varieties. So there is a known source. Between the varieties, we have a known source. This is the first known source. Second is not a known source. It is a known source. If I kept all the constraints same, like fertilizer are same for all these 10 plots, the water supply is same, the sunlight is same, as well as the fertility of soil is same. If all constraints are same, so will all these 10 outputs are same? So the answer will be no. These 10 outputs will also they will also have variation. This type of variation is called variation due to the unknown source. Unknown source, because we cannot explain the reason why we have a variation in that unknown source. Why we have a variation in these 10 plots? Because all of these 10 plots are planted by variety A. The variety is same, the water is same, the fertilizer is same, the fertility of soil, all constraints are same. The why these outputs are different. the researcher cannot explain the reason of this variation. That is why it is called unknown variation. Another word which is used for this is within variety. Instead of using between variety, we use the term within variety. Variation within, variation between, within varieties. So we have these two sources of variation. There is a variation between variety, which is a known source. There is a variation within the varieties. Variety within variety B, we have a variation. Within variety C, we have a variation. Similarly, we have a variation within variety D. So all of these four variations, which are known as the within variations, will be added, and one single unknown variation will be obtained. This is called variation due to the unknown source. This is called variation due to the known source. So between varieties and within varieties. Known source, unknown source. These two terms are very important. So in ANOVA, what the objective is, the total variation in this data will be partitioned into the two components. One is called variation due to the known source, other is called variation due to the unknown source. The ratio of these two variations makes the F statistics. F statistics is what? Variance of known source divided by the variance, sample variance of unknown source. By this ratio, we will get the F statistics. If the known source is very high as compared to the unknown source, there is a high probability of rejecting this null hypothesis, because this F statistics will be larger, and if F statistics is larger, so there is a high possibility to reject the F statistics by this critical region. This is the critical region of F statistics, and if this F statistics is above this critical point, then there is a possibility that this hypothesis will be rejected, and we have alternate hypothesis in favor. If variation due to the known source is small and the variation due to the unknown source is high, so this F statistics will be smaller. If this statistics is smaller, then there is a possibility that the F statistics will have below this critical point, and there is a possibility that we will accept the null hypothesis. So this is main procedure of ANOVA, and by just comparing the two variations and the ratio of these two variations, we have to build F statistics. That F statistics will be used by comparing either critical value approach or the p-value approach in the hypothesis test. Total variation is partitioned into its two components: variation due to the known source, variation due to the unknown source. It is called variation within variety. It is called variation between variety. If in other example, we can say that it is variation within sample, it is called variation between samples. The between samples and within sample, these are the two terms, within and between, for between and within. These are the two terms within sample. The term within sample will be more appropriate if we are not considering any single example. The within sample means any sample, like I have my sample in the previous example of varieties. If you have salespersons and you are comparing the average sale by the four different salespersons, whether the average sale by the four persons are same or not, so between the salespersons and within the one salesperson, why there is a variation within the one salesperson. So that are the two partitions. Total variation, variation due to the known source, known cause, variation due to the unknown cause. The ratio of these two variations, variation due to the known source, variation due to the unknown source, will make the F statistics. And if F statistics is larger, then there is high possibility to reject the null hypothesis. This is the null hypothesis. Mean 1, mean 2, mean 3, mean 4 are same. And we can extend it by if we have a K population. The mean K will be same. What will be the null alternate hypothesis? Not all the means are equal, or we can use another term, which is at least two groups having unequal population means. This is the alternate hypothesis. F statistics indicates that we can reject the null hypothesis if the value of statistics is high. So if the value of statistics is high, then we can reject the null hypothesis. So which means are same and which will not same, we have to conduct another procedure named as post hoc test. The post hoc test will be used if the null hypothesis of ANOVA is rejected. If the null hypothesis of ANOVA is true, and we are saying that all the means are same, then there is no need to conduct the post hoc analysis. This is the entire procedure of ANOVA. The purpose is written there. ANOVA is used to compare the K population means, equality of K population means. So this is the null and alternate hypothesis. All the K means are same, not all the means are equal. This is alternate hypothesis. These are assumptions. So you must have to verify these 4 assumptions before implementing ANOVA technique. What these assumptions are: simple random samples. Variety 1, the sample number 1 will be random. The seeds are planted on the random places. The samples must be independent, means the plantation of variety 1 is exactly independent, and the output will be exactly independent as the variety B, C, and D. So the columns are independent. All the 4 populations are normal. If we have 4 samples like X1, X2, X3, and X4, then these samples must be normal, or we have a large sample size. If we have a large sample size, then there is no need to test the normality. So this data is graphed on the normal probability plot or the box plot to check the normality of every column. If every column have normality, we can proceed. Equal population standard deviation is another assumption, which is one of the very important assumption. Okay, your sigma 1 will be same as sigma 2 is same as sigma 3 and sigma 4. All these standard deviations must be same. If these standard deviations are not same, we cannot directly implement the ANOVA. So before testing the hypothesis of equality of several means, you must have to check the standard deviations of these samples, whether these samples have equal standard deviations or not. The Levene test can be used to test the equality of standard deviation. If this is true, then we can apply the ANOVA to compare the multiple means. Second step is same, the level of significance. Third step is the F statistics. The formula is very simple. S square known and S square unknown divided by S square unknown. So this ratio is known as F statistics. Finally, after all calculations, the data is recorded in a table named as ANOVA table. ANOVA table is what? ANOVA table is a table in which we have multiple columns. These columns are fixed. Column number one has sources. sources between varieties, between salesmen, between teachers. These are the straight treatments. Error is what? Error is unknown source. Error, another term for unknown source is error. So we can use SSE for it, sum of a square of error. And finally, we have the sum, which is the total. Degrees of freedom, if we have k populations, then the degree of freedom will be k minus 1. If we have n sample, suppose I have 40 sample in my example, then it will be 40 minus 1. And the degree of freedom of error can be computed by subtracting n minus 1 from k minus 1. If I subtract k minus 1 from n minus 1, so this will be equal to n minus 1 minus k minus 1, then 1 will be cancelled out. The degree of freedom will be what? The degree of freedom will be n minus k. So degree of freedom of unknown source, error is the unknown source, n minus k. This is represented by sum of a square of treatment. This is a sum of a square of error, or sum of a square of total. So these are the term which is used in ANOVA. So SST, sum of a square of total. SSE, sum of a square of error. This is the sum of a square. What is the difference between the variance and the sum of a square? Sum of a square is the numerator of the formula of variance. The formula of variance is same for all of these terms, but numerators are written here, denominators are written here. If I divide the numerator by denominator, then this is variance. The MSTR is nothing. It is the mean sum of a square of treatment. So we can use term S square for it because it is a sample variance of treatment. This is the sample variance. This is the sample variance of between varieties. So I can use T for the treatment, or I can use B for the between varieties. This is E for the square variance of error. This is not standard deviation. This is variance. The variance of error and the variance of this. Sum of a square of error divided by n minus k. This is just dividing this by n minus k. If we divide these two, we have this variance. The variance ka formula, all of you familiar with the formula of variance, x minus mean whole square. This is the numerator of the formula of variance. I use the term SS for it, sum of a square. And then I have sum of a square, and degree of freedom is the denominator. Degree of freedom n minus 1. So degree of freedom, if we divide these two, then we have a complete formula of variance. After calculating the observed value of F statistics by this formula, we have either to construct critical region, or we have a p-value. This is the critical region F alpha. F statistics can be obtained by 2 degrees of freedom. 1 degree of freedom is the degree of freedom of the variance in numerator, which is a known source, degree of freedom of known source. Second degree of freedom is the degree of freedom of error, which is the degree of freedom of unknown source. So this is known as nu1 and nu2. Nu1, this is nu2. So by these two values, nu1 and nu2, we will get a value from the F table at the given level of significance. This point is referred to as a critical value, or the critical observation, or the critical point. If a calculated value or the observed value is more than this, the null hypothesis is not true. If the observed value of F statistics is smaller than this, we have to accept our null hypothesis. So this is the criteria for accepting or rejecting the null hypothesis. After that, we have to conclude the result. If the null hypothesis of F all means is not true, then we cannot say that which two means are equal and which are not equal. We cannot say that all means are not equal. So we have to make a comparative analysis. That comparative analysis is known as post hoc analysis. in SPSS. The post hoc analysis can be run by several procedures are there for implementing the post hoc analysis. Mostly least significant difference, LSD is used, or TUK test, या Tucky test is used for finding the group comparisons. So these group comparison can only be done if the null hypothesis of ANOVA is rejected. If the null hypothesis of ANOVA is accepted, there is no need to implement the post hoc procedure. This one example we are going to complete in the 4 regions which the electricity consumptions are observed: Northwest region, Midwest region, South region, and West region. There is a significant difference. There may be a significant difference between the electricity consumption in the different region, because there is a possibility that one region is a hot or the warm region. So there is a high use of electricity due to the temperature, high temperature. Mostly the people are using air conditioners. But there may be some regions which are the cold regions, where the people are not using the air conditioner, but they have higher gas usages for different heating systems. The electricity consumption, we have to analyze only the electricity consumption in the 4 regions. The null hypothesis will be what? Average electricity consumption or the power consumption in all these 4 regions are same. The mean of power consumption in North region is same as the mean of power consumption in Midwest region and South region and West region. These 4 regions have same average consumption of power. This is null hypothesis. All against the alternative that at least 2 regions have unequal average consumption of electricity. The alternate hypothesis we have. So we have to test this, because before going to test this hypothesis, we have to analyze what is the known source. The known source regions is the known source, because between the regions there is a possibility that differences in power consumption exist. But within the region, there may be the variation. There is a variation like 15, 10, 13. Why these variations are there in the north, within the northeast region? This is called variation within the region. The variation within the region, variation between the region, these are the 2 sources. We have to bifurcate the total variance in the data into its 2 components. One component is called variation due to the known source. The other is the variation due to the unknown source. We have to check the assumptions. The random samples are, these are the random samples. Assumption number 1 is satisfied. The samples are independent, because these regions are independent in operations and they are independent with respect to other factors. So the samples are independent. Third one is the normal population. We have to construct the normal probability plot, all of these columns. If the linear pattern is there, as we can see that in this graph, we have a linear pattern in all of the 4 graphs. So we can say that all of the 4 regions have distribution normally distributed. Fourth one is standard deviation of these 4 regions should be same. So H naught, standard deviation in region 1 of consumption is same as the standard deviation and standard deviation of west, standard deviation of next one is south and west. This is south, this is M. These standard deviation must be same. We can test this hypothesis by a Levene test, but there is an informal procedure of testing whether the standard deviation in populations are equal or not by just comparing the 4 standard deviation of samples. So SAS1, sample standard deviation 1, sample standard deviation 2, sample standard deviation 3, sample standard deviation 4. These are the 4 sample standard deviation, or these are the standard deviations among these 4 columns. Column number 1, standard deviation is S1, sample standard deviation. And the mean of sample 1 is X1 bar. Similarly, the mean of second sample is X2 bar, and standard deviation is S2, and so on. Now we have the standard deviation of fourth sample is S4, and the mean of the fourth sample is X4 bar. So these are known as the descriptive statistics. So by descriptive statistics, we have the 4 values of the standard deviations. These standard deviations are 1.8, 2.59, 2.58, and 1.92. The informal test can be done by just comparing the ratio. What ratio? Ratio of the largest standard deviation in sample and the ratio of the smallest standard deviation S small. The smallest value here is 1.87. 1.87 is the smallest standard deviation, and the largest standard deviation is 2.59. If we are taking the ratio 2.59, if this ratio is smaller than 2, we can assume that standard deviations in population are same. If it is smaller than 2. If it is larger than 2, or equal to 2, we can reject this null hypothesis and state that the variances are not same. So we have to check the variances before implementing the ANOVA procedure. So in my case, in this case, the standard ratio of the standard deviation is less than 2. I can take the perception that the population standard deviations are same. Population standard deviations play an important role in the background theory of analysis of variance. This assumption is fulfilled. So all the 4 assumptions are true. We can implement the ANOVA, or the analysis of variance. ANOVA, we can compute the F statistics. F statistics, these are the total of column 1, 2, 3, 4. T stands for the total. These are the sample sizes of the 4 samples. Now the means is computed, and SSTR, the formula of SSTR is nothing. It is the numerator of the formula of variance. This is 179. This is known as sum of square of total. T stand for the total here. And SSTR stand for the sum of square of treatment. In my case, the treatments are the region. So this is the sum of square for between regions. So this is known source. And SSE stands for the error. The error can be computed by just subtracting. So these 2 formulas are nothing. These are just the numerator of the formula of the variance. Once we have here for total, other than we have a treatment. These totals are computed, SSTRs are computed, 97. Error can be computed by the difference, because SST total is equal to SSTR, the treatment. TR stands for the treatment. I'm just writing it as a TR for small letters. SSTR plus SSE. SSE is the standard sum of square of error. Error can be obtained by subtraction. To take this SSTR to the left side, the formula will be SST minus SSTR. This is 82.3. K degree of K is the total number of samples, or the total number of population. Total sample size is 20. So we can construct an ANOVA table. And this F statistics is very simple. Now you can see the F statistics by dividing the 2 variances. So ANOVA table is constructed, and after that we have what will be the ANOVA table for this procedure. I am just presenting that table here. ANOVA table, the first column of ANOVA table is the sources of variation. The second column is the degrees of freedom, DF. The third column is the SS, sum of a square. And next column is the column of variance, MSTR. This is called MSS, mean sum of a square. Mean sum of a square is actually the variance. After computing mean sum of a square, we have F ratio. And if we are doing it by software, then the last column contains the p-value. If we are doing it manually, so we can stop at F, the p-value. So these are the column in the ANOVA table, and we have how many sources we have between region. I am just writing it as between region. R stands for the region, and here we have error, which is within region. And degree of freedom of regions is 3, because we have 4 regions, degree of freedom will be 3. Total observations are 20, so we have 19 degrees of freedom. If I subtract 19 and 3, we have 16 degrees of freedom for error. The degree of freedom of error is 16, degree of freedom of R, which is the region, because we have the 4 regions, 4 minus 1 degrees of freedom. Total observations are 20, 19 degrees of freedom. Sum of squares are what? Sum of squares are already calculated on the previous slide. Sum of a square between region 179.8. So I should have to write down 179.8 here. 179.8. This is the sum of a square. No, I'm just writing it early, because this is the sum of square of total SST. This is SST. 179.8. The 179.8 should be written here. 179.8. And then we have, I am just completing this table, and this is total. Last row will be the total. Now, sum of square between regions. Sum of square between region is basically SSTR. The value of SSTR is 97.5. So I should have a 97.5 here. 97.5. And by difference, the error, sum of square of error is 82.3. I should have 82.3. Now, these are the sum of square. Variances can be calculated by dividing sum of square by degree of freedom. So 97.3 divided by 3 and 82.3 divided by 16. So this will be the sum variance of known source. This will be the variance by unknown source. I can write down it as E for error. This is the variance of error. This is the variance of treatment. So I am just writing it as a T here, T for treatment. The sum of square of error. Now this can be computed by 97.5 divided by 3 and 82.3 divided by 16. So these two numbers are to be substituted here. And these two numbers, I am just showing these two numbers here. Now complete analysis of variance table is shown here. This is MS SS divided by the degree of freedom. 32.5 is the first value and 5.14 is the, so we can see that the two variances, one variance is known as the variance of known source or between region. This variance is 32.5. And another is the variance of error or within. We can write down it as variance W for within, or we can write down it as E for error. Sometimes we can write down it as S squared T, because between is also referred to as treatments. These are my treatments. So SS treatment or SS between, both are same. This is not SS, this is variance. And 5.14 is the value of SSE. If I, by formula of F statistics is what? F statistics is S square T for the treatment divided by S square E for the error. If we divide these two variances, then F statistics will be obtained. That is, F statistics is 6.32. We have to compare this F statistics by critical point. So we have to construct the critical point. That critical point can be obtained by 2 degrees of freedom. Which 2 degrees of freedom will be used? 1 degree of freedom is the degree of freedom of numerator. It is 3. Second degree of freedom is 16. If we look these two numbers along with the alpha into the F table, then critical region will be obtained. That critical region will be 3.24. This 3.24 can also be written as F for the F statistics. 0.05 level of significance, and the 2 degrees of freedom will be shown. The first degrees of freedom will be 3, and the second degrees of freedom will be 16. There is a semicolon here because degree of freedom are separated by comma and alpha is separated by a semicolon. So we have a semicolon here. This F statistics is 3.24. My F statistic, which is observed F statistic, this is referred to as F observed. F observed is larger than 3.24. So clearly we can say that data provides sufficient evidence in favor of H1. The null hypothesis is not true. The average consumption in all the 4 regions are not same. They are significantly not same. So in this situation, we have to apply another procedure named as post hoc. But the post hoc procedure I am not implementing here by formulas. Post hoc procedure will be shown with the help of SPSS. Step number 5 is the rejection of null hypothesis due to the 6.32 larger than the critical number. Thus, we reject the null hypothesis. The test results are statistically significant. We use the term statistically significant for rejecting the null hypothesis. 5% level of significance, data provides sufficient evidence to conclude that the difference exists in last year mean energy consumption by the household among the 4 regions. At least 2 of the regions have different mean of energy. By post hoc analysis, we can have idea about the which means are same and which means are not same. That can be done in SPSS in a simple way.